Hello, and welcome to another episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Philip Allison. Our guest today is a senior majoring in aerospace engineering. It's Britton Rowling. Britton, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
I know that you, like I said, you're a senior in aerospace, but you are from South Carolina, as I understand.
Yeah, Greenville.
How did you end up here in Starkville?
So it's kind of an interesting story. I'm going to be honest, Mississippi State wasn't on my radar until my senior year, and I went to a college fair. I've always been interested in aerospace engineering, and unfortunately in South Carolina they don't have that as a bachelor's option. And honestly, I was pretty dead set going somewhere else. I was a different school in Carolina, and I was just going to do mechanical. And then I found out about Mississippi State, and so I applied, and then I got in. I got my scholarship letter, and my dad was like, "Well, you need to go at least tour it." He's like, "You got to give it at least a fair shake because this is what you want to study as opposed to mechanical." And I was like, "Okay." Even though I was a senior, I wanted to go where my friends were going and all that. So I ended up coming out and touring it, and not to kind of sound like cliche, sometimes you just come onto a campus and you feel like you're like home. Yeah. It's kind of how I felt when I came to State, and like everyone was so friendly and everyone was so nice, and you just kind of like felt like everyone wanted you to be here. Mm-hmm. And after that, I decided to come here, and here we are 5 years later.
Well, South Carolina's loss is our gain, and we're very happy to have you here.
I love it.
Yeah, and I know you're very involved in a variety of opportunities on campus, and I know one of them is the engineering recruitment leaders. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your experience with that.
So I joined that 2 years ago, and what it is, it's an organization where we meet with prospective students and their parents, sometimes not their parents, it's just the student, and because a lot of times students want to hear not from people like you and professors, and they want to hear from students like what it's like to actually live the day-to-day of the engineering student life. So we meet with them and we kind of explain what we do on a day-to-day, like what our studying habits are like, what do we do outside of classes, and things like that. Just kind of give them a more, what is it really like if you come here and decide to come here and be a student of engineering.
And do you generally focus on students that want to study aerospace, or is it just kind of when you're on, you're on?
I prefer to meet with students about aerospace because I can talk about it a lot more. I mean, obviously that's what I study every day, day in, day out, so I know it a lot better. But I do meet with other students, but I'm always just up front and like, I can only give you kind of the bare minimum of this, but I met with computer science and software. That was interesting because all I know is they program. So. But I do tend to prefer more aerospace just because, again, it's what I know.
Yeah, you can be a little more helpful.
A little bit more helpful, a little bit more insightful than, say, I can't really tell you what a computer science does day in and day out because I don't live it day in and day out.
Yeah. Do you generally get a lot of the same questions from prospective students or their parents, or does it vary? It
varies a good bit. I mean, we do get a lot of some of the same, like, sometimes we get, is it hard, which we always say it's a group effort major. Any major is difficult in its own right, but if you get the right community around you, you can make it through anything, and anyone can do engineering if they really want to and put in the effort. Is it a lot of math? Which, yes, we take Cal 1 through 4, linear algebra and DE, so it is math-based, but once you're through that, it's really applicable in your junior and senior level courses.
Yeah, so you're going to take math, but you're definitely going to use it.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. You're going to be doing math, but it's not like you're just going to do it and never see it again. It does come back up. It's very beneficial.
Yeah. And so I know you're also involved with a couple of other organizations. Mm-hmm. Exhibitor is one of them.
Mm-hmm. So that is one of my favorite organizations just because it's one of the more fun ones that I'm involved in, and it's a unmanned aerial vehicle design team, and it's an autonomous vehicle. So what it is we're building a fixed wing aircraft over the course of a year, and its whole purpose is to we basically hit a button, and that's all we interact with the aircraft. So it flies on its own, it's able to read targets and maneuver whatever the target is, and then land all on its own, and we don't touch it.
And I think probably a lot of people get that confused with a drone, but it's a little bit different.
So when people think of drones, it's kind of those quadcopters, which that's what that you can get that are really fun and popular right now. It's kind of gifts and activities. What we're doing, it's on a much grander scale, and it's fixed wing. So as opposed to kind of like what you think is on a helicopter on the top, this is just like an airplane it has a main wing, and then it's got the horizontal tail and the vertical tail.
Yeah, I actually saw it not too terribly long ago, and I was surprised at how big it was.
Oh yeah, they're massive. Like again, when people think about UAVs, especially right now because they are getting so popular as into the day-to-day thing, they kind of think of these little tiny things, but what we're building is pretty massive.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a short break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
When you're the best, everyone wants to see what you'll do next. At Mississippi State University, our team of world-class rocket engineers is venturing beyond boundaries, building rockets like none before. We're launching a new era of space exploration. We've developed cutting-edge technology that's helping us build a rocket that can travel at 4 times the speed of sound. Fast? Yes. But more importantly, revolutionary. For you and for a space program that produces many of the conveniences we enjoy today. We're shaping your life in ways you never dreamed. What's next? Watch us and see. What drives you? What pushes you forward? Is it an appetite to be the best or a calling to make a difference? For those of us here at Mississippi State University, it's both. We're designing a future where cutting-edge hybrid technology isn't imported from overseas, but exported from our own backyard. We're working toward a day when solutions to energy independence move at 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and are as simple as charging a phone. A day when fuel economy and environmentally friendly are viewed as less of a compromise and look more like this. For us, turning heads in the auto industry is great, but living up to the hype is even better. That's because it's about more than simply envisioning the future. It's about getting there. And here at Mississippi State, we know just the ride to take.
Welcome back to Momentum with our guest, Britton Rowling, who's a senior majoring in aerospace engineering. Britton, we were talking about Zipiter, the unmanned aircraft system, and I know that's just kind of a student-led group. And how much of a student-led group is it?
So it's 100% student-led. We do have advisors, professor advisors that we go to and ask questions and get help from. But we construct the entire aircraft. We do the software. We do the avionics portion of it. All of that is student-based, and we take it to competition and we fly it again on our own.
And do you guys have a competition coming up?
Yeah, so it's in June every year. It's up in an Air Force base in Maryland, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I should know that. But yeah, so we're going to go and fly it with a bunch of other schools across the country and a few international schools. And whoever does the competition, the best wins.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing how that goes for
Yeah.
you guys. And I know that you're involved in a couple of other organizations as well.
Yeah. So I am involved, I'm president right now of Women of Aerospace, which is a organization within aerospace engineering itself. Basically, we're more of a minority organization, but it's kind of just a way for people to get to know each other, women to get to know each other. So because we're all such a small portion in my major, like my graduating class, I think there's 4 or 5 of us out of the entire 55 people that are graduating aerospace engineering. Sometimes it just feels like there's no one else. So we really want to open up a way for women and girls to get to know that there are more of us and there's a way to get to know them.
Yeah, and would maybe help attract more.
And hope, yeah, and that's a big thing. We want to bring more into it and show, we can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah. Well, moving on from organizations, I know a lot of engineering students do co-ops, and have you had a chance to take advantage of that opportunity?
Yes, so I co-opted as a structural engineer at Huntington Ingalls on the coast of Mississippi, and doing structural engineering. And they're a naval shipbuilder, so.
Well, that's a little bit different, not what you'd expect from an aerospace engineering
Yeah,
major.
and I get that a lot. One thing that we kind of stress, especially as an ERL, is that when you get a major in engineering, you're an engineer, and so that can go a lot of different ways. And when I got the opportunity to be in aerospace, especially, we have a lot of structures classes, so we actually do go structural a lot. And so I got the opportunity to go work for Huntington Ingalls doing structural engineering, and I took it, and I liked it a lot, and I learned a lot, and I actually took a lot from my classes. And one thing I stress a lot about when I worked on ships as opposed to aircraft, aircrafts have to fly, ships have to float. So, they kind of go hand in hand. They're not the same. They have different fluids, but they're more than people think, or they have more in common than people think.
Yeah, and I know a lot of co-op students tend to get jobs at the places they co-op, but I understand that that's not the case for you.
No, so at the end of the day, as much as I enjoyed my co-op, I still want to work with aircraft. So I actually accepted a position doing field or flight test engineering for a company out in Huntsville called ERC, and I'll be working with helicopters.
Well, that's fantastic, and you're graduating in May to do that,
yes.
correct?
Yes, I'm excited.
And do you know a little bit more about what exactly you're going to be doing?
Not yet, and I mean, again, there's only so much I can talk about because it's defense related.
Sure.
But I'll be working for doing Army helicopters out there and at the Redstone Test Center, and hopefully I'll learn more on my first day. But I'm excited because I know State, they've kind of set me up for a good bit of this.
Yeah, and it's very exciting to be a few months out from graduation.
Yeah, and not be worrying about a job.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of the stress off the shoulders.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I guess maybe putting back on your ERL hat a little bit, you talk with a lot of prospective students. Is there any advice that you could offer prospective students who are looking at engineering and maybe aerospace in particular?
One thing I always urge to them, especially take advantage of the opportunities we have in Bagley. I've taken advantage of a lot, and a lot of those have come from doing organizations. But we talked about my co-op earlier. That was through doing co-op interview days, which is a big thing we have through our co-op office, and that's an opportunity that you don't really get at a lot of other colleges that I'm aware of. So I've always stressed take advantage of those opportunities because you don't know what's going to come out of them. A lot of time when it comes to getting jobs and internships, it's all about networking.
Yeah.
And through those type of organizations and things like that, that's how you get the networks.
Yeah, and then was that kind of how you got your job lined up? Was through an interview process, or? Actually,
I got it online. Everyone is like apply online, and I actually did that, and I ended up getting my interview through that. So, but they do they post to the Career Center website. So I saw it on there, and I went to their website and applied.
Yeah, well, that's pretty great to get a job where you didn't necessarily have an in. Or contact with
it's
somebody.
not what you hear a lot sometimes. They always say networking is key, but this worked out for me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it speaks to the strength of a Mississippi State airospace engineering education.
It does. We have a very well-known and renowned aerospace because of our research.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Britton, for being here with us today. Mm-hmm. That is all the time we have for today's episode of Momentum. Remember, you can find us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at MSU Engineering. Thanks for watching.